Kia ora koutou. Welcome to another version or another edition of the Hot Air Sports Podcast with me, Macca, and me good mate Mahoney. How are you today, mate?
I'm alive. We're alive, mate. We're alive.
We
We're
are,
still
we
here, aren't
are.
we? Yeah. News of our demise was greatly exaggerated. Yeah. Well, not much has happened in the world since we last spoke, though, has it, mate? You know, the rise of fascism. Not much. So that's why we stick with the sports, isn't it, mate? I mean, God, the rest
Yep,
of the world's
yep.
going to hell in a handbasket. But
Quite
we're
right,
still
quite
here.
right. I had to laugh the other day. My good friend Michelle Court posted
Oh yeah.
a good picture on Facebook, and it said out that our good friend David Seymour
Oh
said that
yes.
the Hikoi wasn't a true representation of New Zealand.
Mm.
And Michelle posted that with a comment, this from a guy that only got 8% of the election.
I know. And 100,000 people marching. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, sees less rather than sees more, doesn't he? That guy's an
Oh, he's
absolute,
just, yeah, just
absolute dipshit. If you voted for him, give yourself an uppercut and
if
unsubscribe from our channel. Thanks very much.
you vote for him, you probably voted for Trump too.
Absolutely. But anyway, mate, we love the
Anyway,
sport.
sports is what
That
we're here to talk about.
distracts us from what's going on in the rest of the world. Just before we start, mate, I've just been watching that fantastic baseball documentary by Ken Burns. There's a new thing on Prime where you can get the documentary channels, and I've been watching that. I've been wanting to watch it for years, and I'm up to about episode 6 or 7, just when Jackie Robinson comes in, and there's a hell of a lot in that documentary actually that sort of pertains to shit going on in the world right now, isn't there? You know,
Yep.
um, with the democratic system and the way that it all works and the way that baseball can be, and sports really can be equated to the fairness or the unfairness of it. Dealing with a loss is hell of a, more you deal with losses more than you deal with wins, and that's about life. And if you can't deal with losses, what the hell are you doing in a democracy? And I sort of thought, maybe that's changed a little bit in the last little while. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's a fantastic documentary. If you want to know
it
anything,
is.
I
Yeah.
mean, just so fantastic. So go and watch it if you're interested in baseball.
Well, even if you're not interested in baseball, it'll get you interested in baseball.
It will. It will. It's
Um,
just what a
anyway,
story.
I've got a bit of a conundrum for you. Um,
Okay, love a conundrum.
so all these sports have got something in common. Is the
Okay.
EPL, English Premier League, is
Mm,
the English Football League, which is the Championship League One and League Two, and even
mm,
the National League below that, the Scottish Premier League, the American sports, NFL, NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, in Australia, the NRL, Rugby League, AFL, Aussie Rules, even the A League to a certain extent. Then you've got all the tennis Grand Slams, the Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, US Open, the English Rugby Premiership, and the United Rugby Championship, which is basically the rest of the UK and
mm.
now the South African teams. Now, there's one thing all of those have in common, and that is you know when the season's going to start, you know who the teams or the participants are going to be, you know when the season ends. Every year, it's the same, apart from COVID, obviously,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that stuff things up. But you know, in the American sports, the playoffs in baseball are going to be October. In NFL, they're going to be December, January. NBA, they're going to be April, May. NHL around May as well.
Yep,
Every season is the same. Has been, especially when you look at the Football League, for over 120 years.
yep.
Now, Super Rugby and ITM Cup.
Yeah.
What's the difference between all those other sports and the two that I've just mentioned?
Well, they go the other way, don't they? They change something every year.
Damn near every year.
Let's add another couple of teams. Let's add change some rules. Let's change where our season goes from and to. I don't know. Sometimes it's better, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I know that's an old adage, but
Well, the
uh,
NPC, as we've known it, has been going for nearly
oh,
50 years.
yep,
1976 it started up,
yep. When
and
we
we've
first met,
had,
mate, in 1990, well, 1990, mid
yep,
90s when we met, we were both massive fans of the NPC, weren't we, mate? We used to go to the games. We used to I used to love the fire. Big North Harbour supporter. I had other friends that supported Auckland counties. We were all invested. And then Super Rugby came along. Great, something else to watch on a Friday night. We were all invested in that. And for the first couple of years of Super Rugby, and while we knew each other with the NPC, it was fantastic. It was parochial in the NPC, and then you could have your professional side, and we knew what we were getting. And then it was just, oh, this is going well. Let's give them more of it. Let's dilute it. And this has been a bugbear of ours since we've been starting doing these. Hey, mate, it
Yep.
is just crazy. When a sport is doing well, why do you need to muck it up? And it seems
Yep.
like rugby does this. We do it better here. We muck up sports better than ever anywhere in the world, don't we?
Yep.
Why can't we just go? I know it seems like we're old bastards talking about, why can't we just go back to when we were younger? It was so much better. But it
Yeah.
was. And I look at a table and see who was winning. And the top four would go through to the semi-final.
Yep.
And semi-final weekend was kind of exciting. And now it's just like, I don't have a clue. And there's bonus points and there's 30, 50 kicks out. And so I don't even understand the game anymore, mate. Rugby, I've struggled with it for a decade
Yep.
and I'm struggling more with it. And
And some years
yeah,
it starts in March, some years it
oh,
starts in February. It even starts at the end of January
January sometimes.
sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
And, they went through, we've had a Super 10, we've had a Super 12, we've had a Super 14, Super
Super 15.
15. I noticed
Yep.
they've just got rid of the number now and just call it Super Rugby.
Super Rugby. Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, now it's Super Rugby Pacific.
Oh,
You know,
so that's right.
in
Yeah,
in
yeah.
previous before this year, you had 8 of 12 teams qualifying for the quarterfinals.
Yep,
Really?
yep,
And
yep.
now they've gone to 11 teams because the Melbourne Rebels have been kicked out.
Yep.
They've gone for a top six, which is still more than half the teams competing. But rather than just give the top two teams the week off and play a straight semi-final, quarter-final, call
Mm,
it what you like.
yep.
Oh no, we've got to complicate it.
Well,
So
why do we? I haven't even been watching, so
so
you're
one
gonna have to
plays
educate me.
six, two plays five, and three plays four, and the three winners and the highest placed loser.
Oh, they're going to that like the McIntyre system that the
Oh,
NRL ditched like a decade ago. Really?
no, it's not at least, yeah.
That's
So,
weird. So the lowest. Oh, that's just stupid,
so
isn't it?
why not just have the top two go through
Yeah,
to the semi-finals?
yeah.
Three plays six and four plays five.
Because you're making way too much sense. You're making way too. It's just we have to make it so that people go. Okay, so the structure of the game is all wrong. What do you propose, Ian? What do you propose to fix this?
Oh,
Because
well, for
we're about
starters, I'd bring the South
solutions.
African teams back
Yep, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
and just go back to a 12-team competition.
Yep. What? How many? Four from South Africa.
Yep. Four from
Four
Australia,
from.
four from New Zealand.
Nice.
Sadly, one of the franchises is gone.
Yep. We'll just call them the South Island Crusaders.
Well, perhaps, yeah. Um,
Okay.
I mean, I know all five franchises have won the Super Rugby competition at some stage
Yeah.
during
Yeah.
its life, but yeah, I think the Highlanders have struggled over the last
They have.
5 or so years.
But they've got
So
that brand new stadium.
they
I
do
suppose
have
that's where
that lovely
they'd have
stadium.
they'd have their home games there, I suppose. But then the Christchurch people wouldn't have their games. Anyway, that's something you can
Anyway,
sort out. The parochialism of it, that probably would. Okay, so go back to a 12-team thing. Every team plays each other once or twice, home
no,
and away.
every team plays each other. Well, how do they do it? Rugby league, they don't play each other twice, do they?
No, no, you don't. They have a seeding system, and every
Yeah.
year, so yeah, you have pools. But it seems like it's a fair system. Whereas every 2 or 3 or 4 years, you'll play each
But
team
yeah.
home and away. Yeah.
I'd have the start of the season in March with finals in September, October, um, with a mid-season
Yep.
break for the autumn internationals, and that's it. Pretty simple.
Yep.
And
Yep.
just do that every year. I'd run the NPC underneath the Super Rugby.
I'd
Um,
agree. You have to
so
run at the
then you've
same
got,
time.
yeah,
Then you got
you've
a
got
feeder system.
players are ready, are not jumping
Yep.
from club rugby straight into Super Rugby if there's injury
Hmm.
problems. and just keep it simple so people knew what was going on.
And can we just get rid of bonus points? Can we get rid of? I know they seemed like a great idea at the time. I mean, I'm sick of bonus points. Oh, they get bonus points for they get a bonus points for the kick. They get a bonus points for finishing within 7 points. They get a bonus point for their scrums not collapsing. They get a bonus point. I'm sorry, it's just forget the bonus points. Three
Yeah.
points for a win or 4 points for a win. Two, whatever for a draw, and just make it a simple table. And oh my gosh, I can see who's leading. I can see how many points my team needs to get up there. I know the bonus points sort of make it a bit more exciting during the, but you could create something else to make it a bit more exciting. So I just think you need to get back to basics. But then there's more problems with rugby, mate, because there's the rules of
Oh,
the game.
yeah,
We
let's
just
let's
watched
let's save that one for another day.
the rules of
That's
the
a whole
game. I mean,
podcast in itself.
absolutely. I mean, the All Blacks. So are we going to go? Are we going to go there? Are we going to talk
Oh,
about the
we'll
All Blacks? Or are we
we'll
just going
touch
to
on it in a
waste the whole
minute.
podcast? Yeah.
And another one of our bugbears, which we talked about on the phone the other day,
Yeah.
watching the Northern Hemisphere games with the All Blacks and the Wallabies and Springboks and all that, there was something missing, and boy, did I enjoy not hearing it. And that's the bloody music blaring
Oh,
out every time the referee blows his whistle to stop play for a
yeah.
line out or a scrum. We get music blared out at us in New
Oh,
Zealand and in Australia.
that last
Why
test
bother?
in Wellington. You were there, weren't you, mate? You were
Oh,
there in Wellington.
does
I
my
just
head in.
couldn't believe it. In the last 2 minutes of the game, when the game's on the line, they kick deep, they go for the line out. They're obviously going to have the line out in 20 seconds. Quick, put the music on. It's
Yeah,
like, I mean, I
I
don't mind
know.
a little bit of music occasionally. If there's a big dip in play, if there's someone going off injured, if there's someone like nothing's going on, put some music on. But this was crazy, mate. They're just overdoing it, aren't they? And I mean, that's something that the Northern Hemisphere do get right.
Yeah.
Okay, they don't get the singing in the stands like they do with the football, but or other than Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, which, by the way, is just a shit song, isn't it, mate? But they don't get the singing. But they were in the French. You had the trumpeter. You could hear the band.
Yeah.
That's like a real traditional test, isn't it? And the
Oh,
crowd can
100%.
can react to what's going on onto the field. I mean, I just get rid of the music, mate. Get rid of the music. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Oh, I'm
Absolutely
with you. I'm
ridiculous.
with you. And about the 70th minute, we don't need to sing Sweet Caroline every bloody game either.
No. And what's the one they love playing in the and it's like they play that like at the end of a football match when you've won a game.
Yeah.
But then this one they're playing it like after 20 minutes. Trying to get people to party. They're
Oh,
at the Can we focus on the action? Can we
the
just It's only
supposedly
80
there's this
minutes.
new commercial arm of New Zealand rugby.
Oh, Nito.
I haven't all part of that um I can't even Silver
What
Lake.
is it?
All part
Oh,
of that
Silver Lake.
Silver Lake investment thing.
Yeah, people that really understand rugby. Yeah,
Yeah.
people that
The
really
other thing
understand the sporting
the other thing
environment.
I've picked up watching the autumn internationals in the Northern Hemisphere
Mm.
is the Northern Hemisphere teams. Oh, look, they've got their names on the back of the jerseys. Isn't
Ooh,
that a isn't
it's a
that a new
concept.
thing?
Yeah,
I can go
wow.
into a shop and buy an Antoine Dupont jersey
Mm.
or a Marcus Smith jersey or a
I'm
Xander
surprised the All Blacks.
Fagerson Scottish jersey.
Yeah, it's crazy the All Blacks haven't got into that, really, isn't it?
Well, I think it goes back to the whole tradition things. It's more
But they've
about
got
the
all.
burn on the front than the name
Oh,
on the back.
they got rid of that philosophy when they put all trad across there,
Yeah,
and they put I mean they used to just have Steinlager. That was the one thing, wasn't it? They were the
yeah,
only. And now they're commercialized all over the place, mate. The
yeah.
Ineos and all that sort of crowd.
But
They're
how
all
many
all
kids from
that.
Taranaki would buy a Bowden Barrett
Absolutely,
10 jersey or a Geordie
absolutely,
Barrett 12 or
absolutely.
you
It's
know?
stupid. Yeah, no,
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, it's crazy the way they want to bury their head in the sand for those sorts of opportunities. Yet for every opportunity to milk it when it comes to,
And
I don't know,
ask the government for more money to keep players in New Zealand.
that's nuts, eh? It's
Well, yeah.
absolutely nuts.
And
The
yes, I know
richest
with
sport in this
names on the
country.
back of jerseys, you're impinging on players' individual rights and that sort of
Yep.
thing. But I'm
You can get
sure the
around it.
Players Association can come up with some sort of deal that the
Of
player
course they
gets
could.
10,
Oh, of
20% or whatever.
course
And
they could. Of course they could. It's collective bargaining, mate. It's
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Learn a bit
Yeah.
about other sports, you know.
That's exactly right, Macca. Oh no, no, rugby does it better than any other sport has ever done it in the entire history of sports.
Yes, yes. Anyway,
Yeah.
so All Black results over the tour,
Yeah.
pass
I
mark.
don't Yeah, I think we give them a solid B. I don't know, maybe a
Yep,
B minus. I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I don't think it's all about results on this tour. I think it's about getting a team culture. I think he's done that. I think he's laid the foundations. He's played a lot of young guys. Um, we're looking good in a couple of positions I didn't think maybe we would look that good in, like lock and halfback. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how the All Blacks are playing, and I suggest that if you're not, you haven't been watching the last sort of 4 or 5 years, really. I think I at the beginning of the year, I thought at the beginning of the season, I thought we looked like we had a long way to go, and now I think we've got not as far to go.
yeah,
It's still a wee while to a World Cup, and I just think there's progress, and I think that's great. And I think also them being away on tour has probably helped, being away from the New Zealand environment, the reporting and all that sort of stuff. And I think he's been able to build a solid culture there. So no, I think it's great. And obviously this game on the weekend will be the last game
yep.
for Sam Cane and TJ Perenara.
Yep, certainly will. They've both been named in the squad. Sam Cane named to start. Perinara coming off the bench. Hasn't Cam Roigard been awesome?
Oh man, you could just see him there forever, eh?
Yeah,
He's the best looking halfback. Well, you got to say since Aaron Smith, but he plays a little bit like Justin Marshall, doesn't he?
yeah. He's
A little
Justin
bit.
Marshall with a good pass.
He is. That's what exactly. Yeah, he's big lad, isn't he? He's over
Yeah,
6 foot. Big,
he's a
yeah.
solid lad.
And that Cortez Ratama, I mean, he's young. He's got a bit to learn. I mean, he's a bit rough around the edges, but he looks like he could be a comer too.
Yeah, I think one thing Ratama needs to do is when he gets the ball in his hands, just release it straight away. Don't need to take a step
Although
first.
Although that Georgian referee with some of those
Oh
calls,
yeah.
I called twice. You're like, come
Mm.
on, there has to be. Where's the game management? No, we're not going to go there. Let's forget
Yeah.
about the referee. We'll be
Yeah,
on it
as
all
I
day.
say, that's a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah. What about you, mate? How you happy
Yeah,
with the
I
All
was
Blacks?
pretty happy. I was delighted with the way we played against both England and Ireland. I
Mm,
thought we thoroughly deserved those victories.
yep.
You could say that Ireland were probably short of a gallop, but hey, you got to play who's put up against you.
Yep.
And I thought we were unlucky against France.
Yep.
I'm not going to blame the referee, but it didn't help, and France slowed the game right down in that last, you know, 10 to 15 minutes, which certainly helped them. We wanted it to move along quickly, but
Yep.
and we got into some good positions too. We just couldn't finish off. It's the old adage, the one in football you use. They couldn't quite get that last pass, you know,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was you could probably say the same for the All Blacks on the weekend against France. But France, to their credit, they
They're a good
did what
side.
they needed to do, and
They're forwards, man.
oh, they yeah, big some
Scary.
crunching
Mm,
tackles
God.
in those games. But
Yep.
yeah, I think I'd agree. I think a B is a good mark. And looking
Yep.
across the whole year, I think they've probably won one or two more games than I thought they would have. You know,
Yeah.
if you'd asked me at the beginning of the year, I think what are they? This is their 14th test on the weekend.
Yep.
I think I would probably have said maybe 8 or 9 wins.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but yeah, so I think they're going to end up with 10 or 11. So
It's progress.
it is certainly good.
Yep. Yep.
Um, moving on to the round ball. We've had
Snooker.
our last
Still live.
international break for the year.
Yep.
No more international breaks now till March. So we can get a bit of a routine going with the Premier
Oh, the
League
international
and
breaks, aren't they great?
oh,
Who's leading in that Nations League table one pot B or whatever? Oh, mate, I'm just so over it. I'm just so over it. The
I will say
international
I
stuff.
did enjoy the Scots 2 wins.
Well,
Uh,
Andy Robertson's header at
Andy
the
Robertson winning the game
oh the 90th minute.
with
That
the
was pretty
final
good.
touch of the game almost
Yeah, that was
against
pretty good.
Poland, and they also beat Croatia too, which was a great
And
response.
what about Dominic Soboslai's little Panenka? Oh,
Panenka penalty here to
beautiful in the
tie the
94th
game up
minute or
against
whatever it was.
Germany.
Yeah,
Great.
it's fantastic.
Yes,
But
but
back,
yes,
but back to real football.
back to, as Bill Shankly used to call it, our bread and butter.
That's exactly right.
The
Beautiful.
Premier League, well, it was the first division in those days, but I
Yeah.
guess you could say it still is the first division. It's just called something else.
Yep.
Um, Manchester City have got a heap of injury problems. Pep
Sad.
Guardiola's decided he's going to sign on for another year.
Yep.
Um, and can Arsenal make up a 9 point gap? Mm,
No.
don't think so.
You picked them to win, mate. You picked them to
I
take the
did.
whole Premier. I picked City. I still think City could be coming. I don't put Pep Guardiola lost 4 games, the first time in his whole career.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely incredible, really, isn't it? But they've deserved to lose all those games too. Rodri, they're missing him mostly, I
Oh,
think.
he's a massive
But
loss.
but if Haaland goes down, they'll be absolutely stuffed. They'll be absolutely stuffed because he's scoring goals still. He'll always score goals, and they don't have Alvarez now. So,
Yeah.
mate, it's looking absolutely amazing. We're top Liverpool, top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League. It's not much other than carry on, really. I mean, we're just we're just killing it at the moment. And the way that Slot's got them playing, you just have to give them so much credit. I mean, we've just made such a smooth transition from Klopp to Slot,
Mm.
and he's playing a bit more a controlled version of what we had before. And I think probably when he gets a few more players in, of his players, and probably uh, just sends a few away that probably aren't quite living up to it. I think that we'll even see a more maturity in our play. Um, when you look at Feyenoord, the way that they used to play, there was a few subtleties, and I just think that he's just done so well, hasn't he, mate? I mean,
Mm.
what can you say about him, about Slot? I
I read
mean,
an interesting article on the Athletic a couple of weeks ago about how
mm,
he utilizes his substitutions during a game, and when I read it, and I thought that's really interesting. But when I thought about it, I thought it's actually really basic too.
yeah,
I don't know why. You read something for the first time and you think, oh, that's really innovative. But you actually then think about it and go, it's actually quite basic. And what it
yeah,
is when the team is holding on to a lead,
hmm
um, and admit it, this year we've held on to a lot of one goal leads.
hmm
With about 30 or 25, 30 minutes to go, he replaces the fullbacks, don't they?
Oh,
Doesn't he?
yeah, he does. He
They're
does.
the guys, you know, they're probably going to be the most tired guys on the field because they've
That's
been,
going up and
especially
down
with
all the
our
time.
fullbacks,
Absolutely.
they spend half their life in the opposition half.
Yep.
But the other half is running back defending and chasing fleet-footed wingers. So something so simple and actually so obvious is actually working an absolute treat and is probably making our defense look so much tighter and tidier this year.
Yeah, and which makes you wonder what the hell was going on before, really,
Mm,
because Klopp just seemed to rinse a lot of those players, man. He just seemed to play them and 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 play them. And our midfielders and our fullback, and they just never changed. And they just
mm.
played them for 90 minutes, 90 minutes, 90 minutes. And I just think that Robertson, for instance, I mean, he just looks like he's got nothing in his legs anymore. I just think he's not 30 yet. And he's just like, wow. I just think a lot of our players, I don't know.
I think
I
you'll
mean, I
see a
love,
different.
I love Klopp.
I
I
think you'll
love
see a
Klopp,
different
but
Robertson from now on.
I bloody hope so. I bloody hope so.
Because remember he had no preseason because he
Yeah, but
picked up
someone like
that
okay,
thigh injury in the world in the
I,
Euros.
I do I do have some concerns with our team at the moment though. I think we need to make a couple of signings in January. I don't have hope that we will because I know our owners and the way that they do things, but I hope that we do make a couple of signings. I think we need a left back and I think we need a central midfielder. I love the way that Gravenberch, man, he's proven me wrong this year. I mean, I always thought he had it in him. I just thought his mental capacity, I didn't know whether he had it in there. And he's just proven me wrong this year. And more of it, please. But he can't play every bloody game.
Yeah,
And Alexis McAllister has been playing every bloody game. He plays every game for Argentina. He can't play every game. He looks bloody tired. And I just think we need another midfielder, probably a defensive midfielder. If Chouameni's available from Real Madrid, go get him. If
Yeah,
they're sort of saying they need the money, um, or if we want to go back for Zubamendi, I don't know, but we need something else in midfield. I think that could be, and left back for me. I mean, both of them are serviceable, but I just think we need an upgrade in that position. If we do both of those things, and then maybe in the summer think about their summer, our winter. Think about getting another striker, maybe another option up front. I think we've just about perfect then. I mean, and how good has our defense been? I mean,
yeah.
you talk about replacing those fullbacks, but how good have Kanate and Van Dijk been this year, man?
Oh,
I mean,
100%.
you look at Saliba and Gabriel; they were the best last year, but man, how that Kanate. I mean, Trent's never in bloody position. He's always 30 yards up the pitch, and Kanate's covering so he's just so good at it, isn't he, mate? He's
Yeah.
just he's just so good at covering that distance, chopping them off. Sometimes the attackers running at him, and I just see them give up. They just think,
Yeah.
oh, there's just no point,
I
There's
noticed
no point.
he's added another string to his bow too. He captained France the other day
He
against
did.
Italy,
He did. And he
which
could
is
be
a
the permanent
huge
captain
thing
by the
for
sound. Yeah.
for a guy his
Absolutely.
age.
And the thing that he's added to his bow more than anything else is being fit as
Yeah.
well. He's available every game. He used to be good for one game a week. Now he's playing two. So,
Mm.
fair quid to and that's another notch on Slot's belt as far as I'm concerned. I
Yeah.
mean,
And we've
the
got
lack
three
of
big
injuries.
players coming back this week too.
Yeah,
Wilson
Harvey.
in goal. I mean, you can't complain about
Oh,
Keller. He's
Quavine.
done a
Oh,
fantastic job.
amazing.
And next year, he's gonna he
He
I don't
has.
want him
He'll
to,
be.
but he has to go
He has
because
to, I
he should
suppose.
be playing first team football wherever he for any club in the Premier League would have him.
It's crazy he wasn't bought by someone earlier,
Yeah.
really. I mean, Southampton could have got him instead of Ramsdale. I mean,
And one
anyway,
of my favourites, Harvey Elliott's back this week.
yeah, great to see
Breaking a
him
bone
back.
in his foot in
Yeah.
pre-season, and or just in early season. And Jota is back as well, so hopefully he
Yeah.
can
Our best
stay
probably
fit for the
goal.
rest of the season.
Yeah, probably best our natural goal scorer, I think. So he's
Yeah,
really important that he stays fit because he's been a bit up and down with injuries as well, hasn't he? He just seems to get injured, but every injury, it's just because he's running into someone or something. It's
yeah,
like he just has no concern for himself. Last time, actually, he got injured by that guy falling on him, to be
yeah.
honest. So wasn't just unlucky injuries. I think if he just needs to get a string of games. But man, how good do we look? How good do we look,
Oh,
Macca? Above
un
us only sky, mate. Above us only sky.
exactly right. And we've got an interesting stretch of games coming up. We've got
Yeah.
Southampton this weekend,
Yep. And then
um,
City.
in Southampton. Then we've got Real Madrid in the Champions League midweek next week.
Have no
Followed,
fear of them
yeah,
because they're not
followed
going to
by
splash.
Manchester City at home.
Yep.
Then we've got Newcastle away and Everton away,
Yeah.
which
That's a
are,
big
you
run
know,
of games.
Everton's at the wrong end of the table, but the Merseyside derby is never an easy game. And
Absolutely.
Newcastle, we were down to 10 men last year, and it was only those two miracle Darwin Núñez goals in injury time that saved us.
Yep. Yep. And Newcastle have just picked up a bit of form as well, had a couple of big wins. So,
Yep.
yeah, no, mate, that's a tough run of games, but get through all of those, maybe a couple of draws and if the rest wins, man, setting ourselves up, aren't we, mate? Setting
Oh,
ourselves up.
absolutely. And we've got a pretty favourable draw over the Christmas break. We're away to Spurs just before Christmas, and then Leicester City. Um,
Yeah.
and so good run into the early part of the new year.
Yep.
With
It could be an historical year, mate. It could be an historical year
It
for us. Come
could be,
on.
it could be. Big game early in January.
Yep.
We got Ruben Amorim and his side coming to visit
Yeah,
Anfield on the
he's a
6th of
handy manager,
January.
mate. I think he'll get them playing. I really do. I think he's the best I've had since old Whiskey Nose retired, and I think he'll get them playing. It'll be interesting to see the type of team. I mean, because he plays with the back three, so I can't work out how Harry Maguire is going to get into that side, but Yeah, look. I mean, it'll be really interesting to see if, in like say maybe 12 months, if we talk
Yeah,
whether Manchester United will be a threat again. Because mate, they haven't been for years, have they? Let's be
yeah.
honest.
Oh, exactly. Moving on to we've just got a few other things to get through.
Yeah, mate.
It's silly season in baseball at the moment with all the player signings and transfers and trades and all that going on.
No,
Obviously,
I don't
every
think we've
side.
talked. I don't think we've talked since the World Series, have we?
Well, yeah, we have done since the
Have,
World
have you
Series.
sure? Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't remember.
positive. Yeah,
Oh,
mate,
mate,
we
but
did. The
one thing,
Yankees did better than 28 other teams. So
that's exactly what I was going to say. One thing I've taken out of that thing is like out of that documentary I've been watching. One of the guys sort of said, he said, we all think it's about winning. We all think it's about winning all the time, but really it's about losing. It's about dealing with losing because way more of us lose every year. And when you think about the periods of time that lots of people that support teams have died and their team has never won,
yeah,
so it's way more about losing. You made it to the big dance last year, mate, though, the
we
last
did,
season.
we
So
did,
so what
and
have you added to your squad? What have you added?
we haven't
Who have
done
you added?
anything yet. We're certainly hoping to sign Juan Soto once that deal's done.
Is that going to be
Once,
done? I've heard he might be going somewhere else.
well, yeah, there's he's had meetings with about six different clubs over the
Yeah.
last week, and there's the winter meetings where all the general managers meet up, and that's when you see most of the trades and signings happening. Um, all the writers are predicting that he'll sign with a team either before the winter meetings or during, and they're
Mm.
about 3 weeks away. So yeah, I'm hoping Hal Steinbrenner, the Yankees owner, has come out this week and said he knows what he needs to do. So hopefully that's an indication that he'll wait for
Sign.
everybody to put their bids in and he'll put in the highest. So
Okay.
he can
Interesting.
certainly afford it. But so can the Mets owner, Steve Cohen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just have to wait and see on that front. But I think if we don't get him, it could be good. It could mean that we could stock up our bullpen like we need to. We need another starter. We certainly need another infielder or two.
Mm.
And also, if Soto doesn't sign, we need to either re-sign Alex Verdugo or go hunting for another outfielder. So we'll see what happens there. They've been handing out the Baseball Writers Awards this week, and these are the
Okay.
most prestigious ones for all the players. The Rookies of the Year.
Yeah.
Luis Hill from the Yankees, pitcher. He won 15 games this year in his rookie season. Had a fantastic season. But the real pitching phenom from the year, Paul Skeens from the Pittsburgh Pirates,
Mm.
came in about a third of the way through the season and even still made the All-Star game, which was only I think he'd only pitched in 6 games before the All-Star game.
Yeah.
So he won the Rookie of the Year in the National League. Manager of the Year, Stephen Vogt from the Guardians in his first season
Yeah.
of
Fair enough.
managing. He was catching
Yeah.
for the Athletics 2 years ago
Crazy.
and won Manager of the Year in the American League. Guardians had a great season. They got
They
all the
did.
way through to the American League Championship Series, beaten by the Yankees in the round before the World Series. And Pat Murphy, the manager of the Brewers, he took out the award in the National League. Tarek Skubal, um, he
Tarek Skubal.
Tarek Skubal from the Detroit
He
Tigers
got
from
some.
the
He got
American
some
League Cy
names.
Young. He pitched a triple crown, which is most wins, lowest ERA, and most strikeouts,
Wow.
which is a pretty incredible thing to do. And
Yeah.
Chris Sale, the ex White Sox and Red Sox pitcher, he's now with the Braves.
Yeah.
Started out the season really poorly, but came through and had a dynamic last half of the year, and he won the Cy Young for the National League. The MVPs are being announced today, but I think it's pretty safe to say that Aaron Judge is going to win the American League MVP, and Shohei Ohtani will win the National League MVP.
Although both of them were kind of disappointing in the big dance, weren't they?
They were, but the it's a funny system they have over there. All the home run records and
Mm.
averages and all that only
Mm.
count in the regular season.
Oh, really?
They have different records for postseason.
Really? So that
Yeah,
doesn't add
and
on any
so
of.
all
Oh,
these awards are all related to the regular season,
just the regular season
just the
and not
regular
postseason.
season. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Because well, in the postseason you have MVPs in the
I
World Series
suppose.
and
I
you have
suppose. Yeah.
MVPs in the Championship Series.
Sure. Sure.
But still, yeah,
Hmm.
it's a bit. It's the
It
only
is. Maybe
only
they
sport that
love
I
their
know of that does
awards,
that.
though, don't they? They love their awards. They love
Oh,
giving someone
they do, and all
MVP,
the
MVP. Yeah.
this year's eligibility for the Hall of Fame has come out.
Yeah.
Um, two guys, I think.
Is Pete Rose going to finally get in there, mate?
No,
Oh, come
no,
on. He's dead now.
I
Come
know.
on.
Sadly, I think he will never make the Hall of Fame.
Oh, stupid.
I might be proven wrong, but you never
Yeah.
know. This year there's two outstanding candidates I think you'll find should go in on their first year. One's a dead cert to go in, and that's the great Seattle Mariners, Ichiro Suzuki.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
So he's eligible
Fantastic.
for the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's
Um,
brilliant.
saw a video
Is
of
that
him
his
the other day
first
of
ballot? Is that the
first
first time
ballot,
he's been?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
CC Sabathia,
Yeah. Oh,
great
great. Oh, yeah. The big
Indians and
Yankees. Yep.
Yankees
Yep.
pitcher. He
Pitcher.
should go in first ballot as well.
Yeah.
There's a few guys that are still on the ballot, but probably won't get in. Our old friend A Rod or A Royd,
Oh, yeah.
he's still on the ballot.
Is that because of the roids sort of
Yep,
thing?
yep.
Yeah. And yeah.
Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting. Maybe a couple of others that have been on the ballot for a few years may get close. Carlos Beltran, for one,
Yeah.
he's got the steroid cloud hanging over him as
Yeah.
well. He was never
Yeah.
proven to have taken them, but
Mm,
there's always been
I
that
don't know, man.
shadow
I
of
don't know
doubt.
about all those excluding people from the Hall of Fame because of something I've done like that. I don't know because I mean it's an era. It's just sort of like just let them in, just
And it
whatever.
wasn't illegal at the
I
time.
know, I know. So it's just like I just think they're a little bit too holier than thou in
Yep.
regards to all those sorts of things and the Pete Rose thing, to be honest.
Mm.
Especially once he's dead, posthumously. I mean, give it to him. Christ.
Yes, well, that's pretty much about all of it. The 49ers are not going to win the
No, they're
NFL this
not.
year. They have
No.
snatched defeat from the
Defeat.
jaws of victory in
We're good at that.
four of their five losses this year, or four
Yeah,
of their
been real
six
good at that.
losses.
The
They
Black
just
Caps had a good win.
Black Caps had a great win over in India.
Historic.
Yeah,
Historic. And I think Australia starts later on today, which is
it certainly
Friday.
does.
So that'll be good to watch. What else is happening? Southey's retired,
Yep, Black
which
Caps
is
take
doff
on
my cap
England
to
next
him.
week,
Yes, looking forward to
and
that.
it's interesting. It will be interesting to see if Southey actually gets a run. I think they should pick him for the first test and see how he goes.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's always better in New Zealand conditions. You'd
Yeah,
pick him most of the time in New Zealand conditions, wouldn't you?
yep, yep.
Anyway, we've only got a
Absolutely.
few seconds to go, haven't we, mate?
We
So
do. So let's wrap this up and get
we'll
it
be back
popped
sooner
away in the
rather than
can.
later. And hopefully the world hasn't got to hell in a handbasket again before we speak again, mate.
Yep,
Let's make it a little bit more regular thing. We'll get together in a couple of weeks.
quite right. Well, that's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from him. We'll see you next time.